Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Thorogood webcast on Power BI. My name is Amanda Quon, and I'm joined here by my colleague, Austin Fiero. Austin and I are business intelligence and analytics consultants here at Thorogood, and we've drawn on our Power BI experience and expertise to bring you today's presentation. If you have any questions for Austin or I, we will contact you directly to address any outstanding questions you have. You can also feel free to get in touch with us via our contact details here on the screen if you wish to have a longer discussion about today's topic. We will share our contact details again at the end of the presentation. Let's start out by reviewing the objectives for today's webcast. We'll demonstrate the latest updates to the Power BI suite of products with a focus on the enterprise capabilities and integration. We'll also discuss the Power BI roadmap and considerations for getting started. And throughout today's presentation, we'll be using a real customer case as the basis of our demonstrations. But let's start with an introduction to Thorogood. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Thorogood, we're an independent professional services consulting firm specializing in business intelligence and analytics solutions. We've been delivering value in this space for over 25 years. We operate as a single organization, serving our customers globally and often working in leveraged teams across our offices in New York, Philadelphia, London, Bangalore, and Singapore. All of our consultants are recruited and trained in the same way to develop a unique mix of business understanding, technical excellence, and analytical ability. We provide a full range of services to support your business goals, covering the end-to-end life cycle of any project, from initial strategy and roadmap definitions to requirements gathering, design and implementation of complex systems, all the way through to training and support of your business users. We also provide ongoing data or analytics services, as well as planning and business modeling solutions. Our clients typically span 4 data-rich verticals: consumer goods, pharmaceutical and health services, banking, and insurance. Our clients are some of the leading organizations in these sectors, and we take a lot of pride in the long-standing relationships we have fostered with some of the names that you see here. These organizations are large, complex businesses, and we rely on our thorough business understanding and deep technical expertise to deliver successful solutions to their business challenges. We are independent in that we don't align with a single technology vendor. Instead, we work with a wide array of technology firms in the business intelligence market, including back-end, front-end, and analytics-driven technologies. With this independence, we're able to develop well-rounded expertise that allows us to help our clients integrate across platforms successfully. While we work with all of these technologies and many more, we do also partner with a variety of these technologies as well, indicated with the partner logos shown here. We've been a Microsoft Gold partner for over 10 years, and we are certified for data analytics and BI solutions. In addition, we are a cloud platform certified partner. Our partnership gives us a great interface into the Microsoft development team. This allows us to gain unique insights into the Microsoft product roadmap. It also allows us to work with customers to help shape and feed back into key Microsoft initiatives. We're part of a number of their programs as listed here, including being a member of the Business Intelligence and Advanced Analytics Partner Advisory Council. If you're interested in working with us on any of the innovation programs listed on the screen, or interested in progressing a Microsoft initiative, please let us know. So now let's introduce our customer use case and how they utilized Power BI. Now, when speaking to our customers about Power BI, many have had some questions as to what Power BI technically really is. We here like to refer to the Power BI suite of products, as Power BI contains components that span local machines and the Microsoft Cloud. It begins first with a locally installed tool, Power BI Desktop, where reports are originally authored. Those reports can then be published to share with others. One way is through the Power BI mobile apps, which are available for Windows, iOS, and Android smartphones and tablets. Another way is through the web browser-based service. And both of these avenues allow enterprises to share and collaborate on reports dashboards, and data sets in the cloud. As alluded to, our demonstrations today will be based off of a business case from one of our customers. For this particular project, our customer used Power BI to create a suite of reports to bubble up to an executive audience. 4 reports were created, 1 for stock market information and 3 for specific business functions. Note that the images shown here on the slide are simply indicative of reporting and not the actual reports themselves. Each of these 4 reports contain multiple tabs of visualizations to allow our user to deep dive and drill into detail where appropriate. From there, key KPIs from each of these 4 reports were pinned to a single executive dashboard. This allowed for executives to see just the most important numbers for them and take the appropriate actions to call upon others to investigate. Power BI was the tool of choice for the business due to the multi-level nature of this reporting. The ability to create that high-level report from more detailed reports without having to start development from scratch for both levels of reporting was particularly key for this project due to the executive audience. The natural flow of KPI tiles to reports within Power BI made it a clear winner in their mind. For today's demonstrations, we'll be focusing on one of the reports we created which covered stock information. This was a requirement specifically requested by the executives. Its purpose was to view their company stock information relative to their direct competitors as well as their peers and customers. So I can talk all about it, but let me go ahead and actually show it to you. So I will navigate over to my Power BI desktop application. So here we are. For the stock data, we're actually pulling information from Yahoo Finance's API through the query editor within Power BI itself. I've taken a bulk of the original report that we created for our customer and done a bit of tweaking for today. I changed the core company's stock and the relative tickers associated with it, along with the look and feel. So I figured since we're talking about Power BI, I thought Microsoft as the core company of choice would be quite fitting. As you can see here, our header has the Microsoft logo, the title of our reports, as well as the last refresh date of this stock information. We show key KPIs here on the left, like latest stock price, percent latest change, etc. Our key visual shows the percent latest change from Microsoft here in blue, the percent latest change of stock price for Microsoft's competitors in red, Apple and Oracle in this case, as well as their peers and customers in yellow. At the bottom, we have a tabular view of these key KPIs and the selected list of tickers. Now, the tickers shown here were chosen fairly randomly from our end. Before our customer, they actually provided their list of tickers and indices that they were specifically interested in viewing on a daily basis, and the group that they would specify each of those tickers against, whether it's a direct competitor or a peer and customer. So this is where some of the customization comes in from a BI tool perspective. In Yahoo Finance itself, you can personalize your homepage to see specific stocks on a daily basis, but in Power BI, we've been able to take it a step further and associate each stock with a specific grouping tailored to the customer's needs. So this shows the daily snapshot overview, but we also pull in and report data from a historical perspective in this second tab here. Still sourced from the same Yahoo Finance API, but we can now view Microsoft stock over different periods of time. So right now we're looking at 1 year. We can just move that scroll bar and say look at 2 years. We can also look at a 3-year trend, etc. So I'll just move that back over to a 1-year view. I can also look at the bottom here at Microsoft stocks indexed by 1 year ago against the different groups of stock tickers. So in this case, we're looking at Microsoft versus the NASDAQ Composite and NYSE index. I can also look at Microsoft stock against their direct competitors and some of those peers and customers. Fun fact about this, for both of these visualizations, when we initially created the report for the customer, this first visualization here, the historical stock price, was actually 3. We have to do 3 separate visualizations, one for 1 year, one for 3 year, and one for 5 year. Because at that point in time, Power BI actually didn't even have this functionality to be able to dynamically change the dates. So we have to have 3 different visualizations with those date comparisons specified. Similarly, for this bottom one, in order to show the different time comparisons, we had 3 additional visualizations. So a great reason why it's important to keep yourself up to speed on these Power BI updates, because now with this additional functionality, we've been able to save a ton of screen real estate. So speaking of updates, what are some of the other latest features in Power BI that I can use to update my report? So if I go back to my daily view, one of the more recent updates from the February update was the ability to change the X and Y axis font size. So if I look at the report, I've got a nice big title here, I've got these big KPIs, but sometimes I find that this main visual is just a bit hard to read. What I can actually do here in the Format Painter after I've selected my visualization is go either to my X or Y axis and I can change that font size. I can update that to 15. I can update it to 20. That seems fairly aggressive, so I'm going to move it back over to 15. And I can either type it in and hit enter or actually use this bar to scroll it back and forth. Similarly, I can do that for the y-axis as well. So the change seems minor, but when an executive sees this report for the first time or a business user and they ask you for the font size to be bigger just so it's easier for them to see, you want to be able to say to them, yes, I can do that for you. Other updates, I now also have the ability to word wrap headers on tables and matrices. So if you look at this matrix here at the bottom, you'll notice that I have all this white space underneath each of my groups, and the group titles themselves are a bit long: direct competitors, peers, and customers. I do have the ability to change the size of that column so everything fits without that scroll bar at the bottom, but now I actually lose some of the actual text and just see that ellipses. If I quickly reset, what I can now do is back into the Format Painter, I can go to that row headers and turn the word wrap on. Now that the word wrap is on, when I resize this column, you'll see that the wrapping actually occurs. I'm now utilizing more of that blank space, and I don't have to see that scroll bar at the bottom. Once again, seemingly minor change, but really helps to provide pixel-perfect reporting for your users. Other things, I can also update line chart thickness now. So if I go back to that historical view, I can choose either one of these charts, let's say the top one, go to my Format Painter, and under the Shapes area, I can change the size of the stroke from 2 to maybe 5. And I can do the same thing for my visualization here at the bottom. This particular functionality was actually specifically asked for by the executives on the projects. These lines in particular were just very thin, so now this has become a feature in the February 2017 update to make those lines just a bit thicker for people to see. So those were some of the updates, the more recent updates rather, to formatting in desktop. So while some of these might seem silly, the ability to customize formatting in every which way possible is something that I've seen customers take for granted in other applications like Excel or PowerPoint. Being able to have that similar functionality here in Power BI kind of just eases the experience for the end user. But outside of formatting updates, what were some of the other ones? There were also some updates to the query editor itself. So here in the top ribbon, if I go to Edit Queries, I can see that I have all of my different queries for the Yahoo Stock Finance API. And if I go over to my Historical tab, you can see my applied steps here at the right. The newest feature that they've added is I can actually add an Insert Step After feature. So if I look at my first step, I pull data from the source, in this case Yahoo Finance. I then promote the headers to be at the top. And if I want to add some other data transformation here, before I do kind of the other steps that I have, I can actually right-click that second step and hit Insert After. And when I do that, you'll see that it's added a custom one step, which is basically simply a placeholder for me to then be able to put anything here that I want from a data transformation perspective. So a valuable feature here, especially for those of us who are a bit more data-centric. So I'll delete that and close it up. And finally, the last thing I wanted to show you here is that Microsoft has added this resource section, resources rather, of the Power BI desktop ribbon. 2 new buttons are here, Solution Templates and Partner Showcase. Both buttons provide quick and easy access for the end user to seek additional assistance in their Power BI journey. So for the first one, if I go ahead and click Solution Templates, what you'll see is that it's brought me to Microsoft's page for templates that you can download and utilize as a starting point for analysis. You can see things like campaign brand management for Twitter, sales management for Salesforce, and more. These are great as a basis for reporting. You don't have to start from scratch. You can customize reports from there. Back in Power BI Desktop, if I go ahead and select that Partner Showcase button, this brings you to Microsoft's Partner Showcase portal for Power BI. This is where you can find certified Microsoft partners and examples of some of the Power BI work that they've done. Thorogood has 3 reports on here, one of which is this trade profitability for manufacturers. So if you're curious for more info, feel free to check it out on the Microsoft Partner Showcase portal. Having both of these buttons available in the ribbon of the desktop application itself is to provide you easy access for your next steps. Microsoft recognizes that sometimes you and your organization can only go so far, so if you're looking for resources to work with to go the distance, they're just one click away. So those were some of the latest updates in Power BI Desktop. The items in bold were the ones I just walked us through: X and Y axis font size, word wrapping, etc. But the slide as a whole, as you can see, shows the myriad of features that have been added to the desktop tool since just January of this year, including features from the update that was just released 2 days ago. If you're interested in getting up to speed about features from earlier than January, check out our December Power BI webcast, where our colleague John covered the latest updates up to that point. So as you can tell, updates to Power BI Desktop have been pushed on a monthly basis since it went into general availability in 2015 and continue to push on a monthly basis even now. Microsoft is throwing tons of development into Power BI. It's rapidly evolving, and as you can see, fairly important to keep yourself apprised of the latest and greatest. Speaking of the latest and greatest, I'll hand it over to Austin to talk about updates to the Power BI mobile app.
Thank you, Amanda. So Power BI has continued with monthly updates to the mobile capabilities as well. With Power BI's monthly updates come some very useful features which have been added to what is now called phone reports. The most intriguing of all is that a user can now create a version of your desktop report that is specifically optimized for your phone in both the landscape and portrait view. This is accomplished directly in your Power BI desktop with very intuitive resizing and rearranging drag and drop features. Another key feature that will enhance your mobile experience is that you are now able to refresh your mobile report directly from your phone, simply by pulling down on the top of the screen, just as you would with your Twitter or Instagram account. You can also have the ability to scroll in the application, which will allow for more visualizations. A last key update I would like to touch on is that you, as a user, can now annotate and share a visual directly in your Power BI app. In addition, if a snapshot is shared via email, said email will generate a deep link to the tile or report. And if you click on it while on your phone, it will open directly in-app. So now let's show you what some of this looks like. So we'll go to the desktop that Amanda created. Now I'd like to say that mobile reports are a core part of the Power BI suite of tools. The Power BI app allows users to have their data at their fingertips, whether they're in the office or if it's just at an airport. And it wasn't until this year that mobile reports could be developed within the Power BI desktop. So now looking at the report, we can see that if we click on View here, we have the new phone layout. Now we're given a blank template of a phone, and along the right-hand side are the key elements of our report: the line charts, the icon, the last refresh date. So now to simply create a mobile report, we can just drag and drop these features, like so, onto the blank template. So I'll bring the last refresh date on, a line chart, I'll move this over here, and we can add the Microsoft icon. Now to make it look better, or more optimal, we can resize these images. So to make this smaller, we can then drag this out here, and then make our line chart bigger so it's more visible for the user, like so. So now that I have a report developed, we would click Publish, and then we'd be able to view this report on our mobile app. I'd like to add that mobile reports are extremely easy to create with the latest enhancements, as you just saw. We also found that you need to create a copy of the report in order to perfect the formatting and layout for the mobile reports. So now we have this created, let's see what it looks like on our phone. So we're going to bring up a little demonstration on my iPhone, but I'd just like to note that you can also do this on your Android or your Windows device as well. So just bear with us while we bring this up. Okay, here we are. So now, as you can see in the Power BI app, we have a list of our reports. Some of these reports have a little phone icon, as you can see with the, as Amanda is highlighting right now. This just means that they're mobilely optimized. But for comparison's sake, let's look at the stock analysis report that is not mobilely optimized. So as you can see, it's prompting me to go to the landscape view, which is not ideal for being on your phone. Also, it's hard to read, and as you can see, the last refresh date is cut off, as well as some of the key KPIs. And scrolling is very hard as well. So now if we go back and view our mobilely optimized report, we can see a major difference once it loads. Again, we can drag down and wait for the refresh. So now we have a Power BI report providing the same information as our desktop report. The interactivity of the desktop reports is not lost with the mobile reports. So now if we slide right, we can go to the historical view. And as we can see, we can drag this here, and we can change the line chart for different time periods. Now, it is very easy to create these mobile reports, and for an exec, they're able to get their stock data anywhere and update the data so the information is most recent. So now let me just turn this off and go back to our slides. So now to briefly recap, Amanda pointed out some key updates with the Power BI desktop. I then just discussed a new and useful addition of phone reports and how you can develop them off your desktop report. Now that we have seen that, let's shift our focus to Power BI Online Service. As a quick reminder, Power BI Service is where reports are published to the browser-based service where enterprises can share and collaborate on reports, dashboards, and data sets in the cloud. Shown here is a brief overview of some of the important updates that Microsoft has recently come out with. One key feature I'd like to touch on is the new Power BI admin role. Prior to this update, an admin role was only available to an Office 365 global admin. Now, with the new Power BI admin role, Office 365 global admins can assign users to be Power BI admins without granting them other Office 365 access. The Power BI admin will now have access to the admin portal, as well as tenant-wide usage metrics and control tenant-wide usage Power BI features. Another new content pack has been added for Azure Active Directory, which contains the deep insights surfaced from Azure AD's APIs in combination with Power BI visualizations. So now highlighted here in dark green, I have the updates that I'm going to demonstrate. I will walk you through email subscriptions, real-time streaming data sets, a navigation preview, and lastly, SharePoint Online. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay. So we have the online version that Amanda published of her stock report for Microsoft. The navigation was first released in December and has continued to improve based on feedback the Microsoft team has received. Now, these recent changes greatly improve the user experience by making it easy to navigate between all your data sets, reports, and dashboards. Now, many of these features are available by opting into the new preview. So let me go ahead and show you how that's done. We can click the gear here, and we can go to our settings menu. From there, we can go to preview features, and we have to select this as on and apply. As you can see, we've already done that. So we have our featured dashboard, recent, and shared with me, the new features that I will mention. We'll first start with the featured dashboard. This allows you to set your dashboard that you regularly view, or one that provides most crucial business insights as a landing page each time you'll sign into your Power BI. So each time an executive will sign into their dashboard or online, what Amanda has created will be the first thing they see, providing easy access to the report and less time wasted navigating. Now, as Power BI is becoming more and more prevalent among organizations, lots of content is being shared, often resulting in clustered lists of data sets, reports, and dashboards. So the two new sections which aim to resolve these issues are the Shared With Me and Recent section. I'll first start with the Shared With Me section. So now that I have it up, you can see that the content, what has been shared with me. We have the ability to search for content, filter by name, date, or even go to a specific person, such as Ben here, who has shared the Salesforce Daily Update with me. Now the Recent section, right here, provides the content most recently visited across all of my workspaces. Even with these new improvements, we are still able to show a list of dashboards, reports, and data sets in our workspace as we were previously able to. Now, another feature that I utilize regularly for my internal reports is email subscriptions. So now if we go to the report Amanda created, so let me go to that. As we can see here, we have the new icon, subscribe. So by subscribing to a report, this is setting up an email whenever data is updated. But don't fear, as it will not be more than once per day. So now an example email would be generated, and you can get a screenshot of your report along with a link to directly access the report. Now this is great for execs because they can get the most up-to-date information for their company's stock with its competitors. Other scenarios where this feature shows great potential is for daily sales reporting. Here, managers can receive the email, and if an error is spotted, they can use the deep link that is provided in the email, and that will take them to the report to dive deeper into the data. So now, while we are on Power BI Online, I want to show you a cool feature which I believe has great potential in reporting, and that is real-time streaming data. So let me take you to the report that I created called Live Weather, and we'll just wait for that to load. So as you can see here, the data is changing constantly, i.e. in real time. So also, the data looks a little different than our stock data, and that's because we're using weather data. So by using weather data, this is constantly changing, and also we're able to get this data for free. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this humidity chart here and show you how to create a live line chart for humidity. So we can go to Add a Tile and select our Custom Streaming Data option. From here, I've already created our PubNub sensor network, which is where we get our weather data from. By choosing that, we can then choose our line chart and add the access value for timestamp. Here we're given options for seconds, minutes, hours. It's whatever your preference, but I'll keep it at a minute. For values, I'm going to go ahead and add our humidity values for Nevada, and then for Redmond. We can then click Next. We'll give it a title, Live Humidity. Just got to make sure I spell it right. And then Apply. And there you have it. We have a live humidity chart showing the data, as you can see, as right now, 1031. So now let's go back to the slides. So now, although our demo was based on weather sensor data, live streaming of data sets can prove invaluable in many situations. Take, for instance, a company that wants to know how its customers perceive their business. They can use a social media source, such as Twitter, and run a sentiment analysis of the live data and create the visuals in Power BI. Or perhaps you want to track your company's stock against its competitors, as we did with our desktop demo, but wish to use live stock data from a purchased API. Streaming data sets makes this possible. Perhaps you work in a factory where sensor information, like emissions, is very crucial. Live tracking of the sensor data will keep you up to date and informed on your operations. As you can see, the possibilities here are endless with this new feature, and it is a great addition to the Power BI offering. For now, an only limitation for the streaming tiles is that normal tile features like coloring, general look and feel aspects are restricted with these live streaming data sets. So now I'd like to talk about SharePoint Online integration. Users are now able to embed Power BI reports directly into their SharePoint Online with no code required. The only requirement needed here is that you need a Power BI Pro license. The benefits, I think, are very enticing. A single sign-on experience is created with seamless integration of SharePoint Online. And what this means is that the user will not be prompted to sign on to their Power BI if they're already on SharePoint. Now, if security is of concern, don't worry. When a user views Power BI reports, all security checks are applied to the report, along with enforcing data security. So a user in a specific business group in the company viewing the report in SharePoint Online will only see the data that they would if they were to view it on PowerBI.com. Now, to see how easy and intuitive this feature is, we have provided a demo to show you. So let me go to that right now. So here, Power BI reports are embedded within SharePoint, again, to use a web part that requires 0 lines of code. I'd like to emphasize that. Simply go to your SharePoint Online site, as we have, and create a new web page. So let's call this stock analysis to stay consistent. We can then simply just click the little plus button here, scroll down, and we see the new Power BI preview feature. By selecting that, we can then add a report, and we're then prompted to add a Power BI report link. Now to do this, we can go back to our Power BI Online, and let me bring up Amanda's report again. We can just wait for that to load. Now to get the link, we can go to File, and we see the Embed in SharePoint Online Preview. Simply just copy this link here, and then go back to our stock analysis page that we created, and paste the link, like so. So by showing this navigation page here, we just got to give it a second to load, and there you have it. So by showing the navigation page here, this will allow users to navigate across all pages of the report, something I think is very useful. Once the report is embedded, you will realize that the report behaves exactly as it would with Power BI Desktop or Power BI Online. So to show you that, I will just change the date filter here to go back about 3 years. And there you have it. Now, I think the most compelling reason for embedding reports within SharePoint Online is that it allows integration of the Power BI reports with all other functionality of SharePoint Online. So whether it is links to other reports, internal sites, or a Yammer feed, the integration with SharePoint is a great way to get even more out of your Power BI reports. So we have here a more finished page, as you can see. In addition to the Power BI report, we have also added a Yammer feed, allowing for collaboration similar to a message board, or for viewing the report. So if I scroll down here, you can see the Yammer feed that we added. Now, as I have demonstrated, integrating Power BI reports further enhances your reports and provides integration with your already existing enterprise tools. So let's go back to the slides here. Now, the last feature we're going to touch on deals with Power BI and reporting services integration. With this update, you can now upload and view Power BI reports within your reporting services secure web portal. Many of our customers want to take advantage of Power BI's strong visualization capabilities, while also keeping their data on-premise. With this recently released feature, we are able to connect live to analysis services, and all of our data remains on-premise. Other added benefits for reporting services integration in SQL Server 2016 is the controlled release management for enterprise-wide adoption and report comments. So just to summarize, I was able to touch on some new key features which have added great value to Power BI, such as the new admin role. Also, I have shown you what real-time streaming data is and how it can add more value on demand to your business. Again, personally, my favorite addition. For enterprise integration, I was able to demo the new SharePoint Online integration with Power BI, as well as touch on how reports can be rendered on-premise with your reporting services. So I'll now hand it off to Amanda, who is going to discuss the considerations for getting started.
Thank you, Austin. So there are a number of considerations our customers have taken into account when working with Power BI, and we've opted to highlight some of them for you here today. The first, data security. So while Power BI Desktop sits on your local machine, once you publish to Power BI Online, it does go to the cloud. So do you have any data that needs to sit on-premise? If so, you'll need to look into Power BI Gateway to keep that data on-prem for now. It's also important to consider your existing architectures and investments your company has already put in place, plus any tools that your company plans to start using in the future, so you can identify if there are any synergies. It's always a good idea to have an overview of your company's technology landscape. Further to that point, you'll want to consider how your data gets into Power BI and other data sources you'll want to analyze with it. Where will your data live? How does that potentially align with your company's hybrid or cloud strategy? One of Power BI's key differentiators is its strong positioning with sharing and collaboration. Power BI Online offers great workspaces and groups for your users to utilize shared data sets and reports to customize to their liking. But how will those groups be managed? What's your data governance strategy for IT-managed data sets? Finally, it's important to ensure that you have a user empowerment strategy. While choosing a business intelligence tool and the architecture around it is important, it's equally or arguably more important to have a strategy for empowering your users to utilize the tool to help drive their decision-making. Creating a self-service culture only starts with technology, but requires user training and support. If you have any questions about any of these considerations or want to discuss your strategy, please feel free to reach out to me or Austin. So we talked about the latest updates in Power BI from the last few months, but what's in store for the future? Microsoft has a great way to determine and prioritize functionality to add to their tool, and that's through their Power BI Ideas Forum. This online forum allows registered users, and registration is free, mind you, to submit ideas for things to add to Power BI. Users can then vote for the ideas that they want to see the most, and Microsoft will take a look at the most popular ideas. For example, the print option in Power BI Desktop is one idea. Here you can see that a Microsoft rep has responded to let the community know that this idea is under review. On-premise hosting for reports and dashboards. Microsoft has already stated that this idea has in fact started. And the one that I personally wish I could vote for a million times over, global filters in dashboards. The number of times that I've heard this request from different customers is astounding, and I'm excited to see that Microsoft does have this feature planned for the future. So these were just a few of the ideas on the forum. I highly, highly recommend that you check out the others and vote for the ones you believe will make the biggest difference to your use of Power BI. To recap, we'll review our objectives from the beginning of the webcast. I demonstrated the latest updates to Power BI Desktop, while Austin reviewed updates to Power BI Mobile App and Power BI Online, with a focus on the enterprise capabilities and integration. We also discussed the Power BI roadmap and considerations for getting started. And today's presentation utilized a real customer case of stock information as the basis for our demonstrations. Thank you all very much for joining us, and have a great rest of your day.